people, what's up? JB Illusion here, not exactly fresh off of watching episode 5 of season 5 of Samurai Jack, and let's talk about it for a second. Also, if this happens to go up a little bit late, I apologize, but we have the beginning of an offensive against Aku. And Aku, frankly, I don't think really cared. We had an army of tanks, an army of odd creatures that were kind of rhinoceros-like that shot things out of their nose. I remember that there was an old cartoon where a kid had an animal that did that. Maybe this was a throwback to that old cartoon. But anyhow, the most important part of this army was the Scotsman. And I want to give a shout out to Heldrake right now, because he actually called it. Standing next to the Scotsman in all of his geriatric wonder was his daughter. Oddly enough, and an army of female Scottish warriors. The funny thing about this is the Scotsman's giving like this rousing talk, and he looks over at his daughter and he's like, "What are you wearing? You're not going dancing, we're going to war." And he berates her a little bit more. "Cover up!" And she picks up this cloak and she just throws it over. It's just like, "Dad!" And then he wheels himself around. He is in a wheelchair now, but he's still actually able to carry his sword unassisted, which is insane for anyone, considering Jack had issues using the sword for long periods of time. And he wheels himself around, and he looks at his daughters, wow, and says, "You cover up too!" And they all in unison just throw on the same cloak. So the offensive is going on. They're peppering Aku's tower, and Aku just kind of is like, "Oh, what's going on? Whoop! Oh, we're being attacked again. Ooh." He says, "Wait, maybe this is a chance for me to break out of my malaise." Now, malaise is, a general feeling of discomfort, illness, or uneasiness whose exact cause is difficult to identify. I know Aku's gone over that before, but I just wanted to for what is to come. But of course, Aku springs out of his tower, shapeshifts, destroys the army. The Scotsman, in hindsight, realizing that this was a bad idea, if they had Jack, then they probably actually would have been guaranteed the W. Isn't that crazy? I wonder if the Scotsman actually knows about the sword. He probably doesn't. But Aku decimates the army, and the Scotsman tells his daughters to flee. To run, and he'll hold off Aku. So we have the geriatric Scotsman wheeling himself towards Aku, and Aku's just like, "What? Who are you?" Way back when Jack ran into the Scotsman for the first time, both of them had a bounty on their heads by Aku. So I think it's gotten to the point where the only threat that he sees is Jack. And of course, the Scotsman really doesn't enjoy the fact that Aku has forgotten who he is, and he just lays into him. "You tall, sissy, evil..." I can't do it. "You evil monster. You just sit back in your tower because you know Jack's out there. He's looking for you. You can't stop him, but he's out there inspiring people to rise up against your tyranny every single day." And Aku just had enough, laser beamed him, and literally burned the flesh from the Scotsman's body. And then he just goes back into his tower because the Scotsman identified his malaise. The lovely daughters of the Scotsman come back to find him, well, dead. In fact, extra dead. His bones just turned to dust. And the only thing that's left of him is his broken sword. His daughters pick it up and they place it down into the ground to pay a tribute to their father. And then out of the blue, his ghost rises up. And he greets his daughters. "Well, look at me. I look exactly like I did in my prime." And they look at her and they look at him and she's just like, "What? How?" "Celtic runes." And she picks up the half-broken sword and the runes just glow a little bit. So the runes weren't actually intentioned to, I guess, defeat Aku. They were there to keep the Scotsman, protect the Scotsman. And they've somehow kind of protected him. They've saved his spirit at least. That's awesome. But the point of this part was basically for the Scotsman to show that everybody knows where Aku is. But Aku's not really coming out of his tower because Jack's out there. And part of the malaise isn't just Jack, but it's the fact that Jack has been out there for 50 years and he's just inspiring people left and right. And the fact that anywhere Jack could show up and defeat Aku whenever he tries to stop one of these insurrections. So that was awesome. The Scotsman's back, albeit in ghost form, but there's also an army of his daughters out there. So shouts to Heldrake. I thought it would be a son maybe, but I was completely mistaken. We're brought to another part of the show where, oddly enough, Ashi is the one who's having odd visions. So Ashi's mother appears before her and tells her to go kill Jack. And Ashi looks, Jack's just sleeping, it'd be easy for her, but she turns back to this visage of her mother that's in the sky and says, no, I want to know the truth. Ashi, the truth is what I told you. No, there's something on. She knows that something's wrong, and her mother's trying to convince her otherwise. Eventually, her mother's just like, you betrayed us, and pieces out. Now, the thing about it is, I refuse to believe that there are two crazy people on this desert island. I mean, yeah, that's probably where crazy people would be born, you know. Nothing for miles and miles around you, but another person, sand, and, you know, seawater that's lovely to drink. But let's be real. I really think that Ashi's mother has quite a bit of magical power. Now, is she a servant of Aku like Damongo? Maybe. It could be possible she's just an oddly powered creature. I don't know if she's an offshoot of Aku. Was she a student of Aku? Is she just a wizard who is trying to appease Aku? Nobody knows, but the power is there. Jack, doing his best to be as awesome as possible without even trying, wrangles a sea monster, and he and Ashi ride it to another location. So, Ashi sees the beauty of the world. I mean, I don't know how many dolphins, you know, pop up next to giant sea monsters just to say hi, but it was a very interesting trip, and as soon as Jack and Ashi get to their destination, Jack's like, alright, bye, and goes off on his own. I don't know if he's testing Ashi at this point, but eventually, at his campfire, he starts having, you know, more visions. The burning starts talking to him, the fire. And Ashi stops that. He interrupts Jack, and immediately he's brought out of his own head. He doesn't think anything else about the horrible failures that he's had. He's not freaking out, which I think is really, really important. Ashi is actually helping Jack more than, you know, we think. She asks him to really show her the evils of Aku, and he says, tomorrow. So she goes, lays somewhere, and looks up at the stars. This is the first time that she's probably really sat and looked up at the stars, thought, wondered what exactly is going on, how'd they get there? And Jack tells Ashi the same story that his mother had told him, that sun and moon created the stars. It was a really lovely children's tale, and Ashi enjoyed it. The next day, Jack takes Ashi on the journey. They see this forest that was once beautiful but destroyed by Aku's evil. Every single one of the trees corroded and warped and shaped into this ugly abomination. And in the center of it, this beautiful tree. Jack tells Ashi that before Aku, this whole area was full of this beauty. But a testament to Aku's power, he ripped all of that beauty out, save for one at the middle. Just so you knew his power. Really like that. And then he takes her on this journey where they see multiple areas that have been touched by Aku. There's dead people, there's more just devastation, and eventually they arrive on one of Aku's larger cities. Jack steals himself some clothes. I'm pretty sure he's done that quite a few times over the years. And he brings her to what seems like, I want to say, customs for intergalactic villains at this point. Yes, customs for intergalactic villains. They sneak around and then they hide just out of sight as a new person comes to the world. He tells the customs agent how he was kicked off of his world and that he's come here because the word is Aku needs people like him. And the customs agent just says, okay, let's see what I can do for you. And he opens up this lovely, picturesque town, this lovely image. And he says, okay, you can be here. I think that would work for you. And he looks at him and he's just like, you know that's occupied, right? That's not exactly a place for me to live. And he's just like, oh, I don't think the occupation will be a problem. Wink, wink. Oh, no, I'll take care of it. And here we see Aku actively. This isn't just something that Aku had done in the past or just some random destruction. This is one of Aku's agents actively saying, okay, you see those people right there who are living fantastic lives? Go take them out. Another part is Ashi wasn't freaking out until the point where she saw the children playing in this village. To know that this monster is now going to go there and possibly harm them was a huge sticking point for her because, well, she had a terrible childhood. Frankly, it was bad, it was rough, and for her to see that happen to other children really has to be striking a specific nerve. Eventually, we're led to another scene of the newest devastation of Aku. Here, an entire city of blue-furred people is just wiped out. Jack looks around and Ashi's just like, there's something that we can do. There must be something. No, Jack says. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing I can do. This will continue going on forever. It's it. You just have to accept that. No one can defeat Aku. This is just how it's going to go. And Ashi doesn't want to accept that, but it seems like Jack has. He's very close to reaching that level of the straw that broke the camel's back. He's so close to just giving up all hope. And that was really sad to see, frankly. Some coughing and some fits bring them to, finding one of the survivors, helping him out, and you see him look up. Not at Ashi, who just kind of pulled him out, but at Jack. You're Samurai Jack. It's so good to see you. Please, save the children. He took the children. Jack is a folk hero. The Scotsman brought it up earlier. It's gotten to the point where the citizens of this world see Samurai Jack as their hero. I'm pretty sure quite a few people by now might know that he doesn't have the sword, but he's still that hero. He's a mythological figure now. He shows up whenever Aku's tyranny has done something horrible and solves it and fixes it and saves the day and then rides off into the sunset again. So Jack and Ashi head to the factory. Why is Jack heading to the factory, while being hopeless? You know why? It's because he still had some hope. He's not at the end of his rope yet. There's this odd sound that seems to propel the children at Jack. I want to say it's very similar to... There was a DJ, I'm forgetting his name, who had the Aku horns, who was making people do stuff with music. And it's kind of similar to that. But the fun part is, we see Jack's age kind of pick up here. He's not able to hear the frequency, but Ashi, being younger, is. So they split up, Jack gets chased by the Berserk children, and Ashi goes off to stop whatever's going on. Jack is getting trampled. He's running, but he can't seem to escape. He gets tackled by the little monsters that they've become. And at one point, he jumps through a window to get away. He slips a little bit, and then one of them jumps out behind him, grabs him, and throws him back into the building. It was really, really awesome to see. I mean, that was Jack's pain, but just that scene was beautiful. Ashi somehow gets caught. She gets bound up by the true evildoer, who's, of course, another bounty hunter who's after Jack. He does the whole, I don't want to say Emperor Palpatine thing, but yeah, he just electrocutes Ashi, and she's not feeling it. She can't escape, though. She's trying, but she just can't. Dude says, alright, I'm out of juice, give me a second. Plugs back in, and watches the screen that now Ashi is in full view, that's now in full view for Ashi, and Jack is getting just swarmed by these little monsters. He's picking them up, he's throwing them, he's knocking them back, and the bounty hunter, makes a comment. He still won't harm children. How foolish. Because Jack isn't. It's a big sticking point for him. He's there to save them, not to harm them. He could harm them and, of course, make his way to whatever bounty hunter, but he's still, holding out hope. Eventually, Ashi gets a little bit angrier. During the next round of electroshock therapy, she sees more of the children just get injured. She sees Jack's plight. Well, not injured, but swarming Jack. And something in her mind breaks. It's most likely because of the children thing I said before, but Ashi channels her anger. She gives into it. And she manages to escape, beat up the bounty hunter, pick him up, and then throw him into his own creation, blowing everything up. Ashi channeled her anger, her rage, and it was actually very interesting. I don't know if, the whole Star Wars comparison is kind of similar, but as soon as the contraption blows up, it stops the children, and they all just fall in front of Jack. He looks down, he looks to the left, to the right, and then he just screams. He didn't want them to die. He was there to save them. And just when he's lost that last shred of hope, the Green Samurai shows up. Jack looks at him. Green Samurai wordlessly looks back, and Jack just says, okay, it's time. And he walks off. Right next to the Green Samurai. So, at this point in time, the question of the Green Samurai being a figment of Jack's imagination is put into question. I mean, we saw Ashi in contact with her mother. Her mother was using magic. Is this something that's reaching out to Jack? I'll tell you what I think about just in a second, because the children, Ashi finds out, are completely fine. But the thing is, Jack's gone. He's finally given in. I personally think that the Green Samurai is another part of Jack's psyche. I don't think it's magical in origin. I think it's all in his head. I think at this point in time, Jack might actually, give in to his anger. We've seen Mad Jack, who is a part of Jack, who just kind of is incredibly angry. It's that anger that Jack learned to accept, kind of control, a long time ago, but maybe now he's going to give in to that. He's going to become the Green Samurai. Maybe now he'll do whatever it takes to defeat Aku. And that's kind of going to be a little scary. I mean, he could always go back after the Guardian, but maybe he'll change how he approaches the Guardian. Maybe now, after having killed a person, he's just finally given up and he'll turn into a monster. And hopefully Ashi and the Scotsman are able to stop him. Thank you guys for watching. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. As always, be excellent to each other and have a nice day.